Two more videos to go. This video, the next one. There's another one on react to, but I don't have enough time. I will try to get up there, but I don't think so. Dumpty Brilliant Sonic Prime characters. Let's go.
Sonic Prime brought a lot to the table, including many different worlds and characters.
You're officially my favorite Knuckles ever.
These characters all display varying levels of intelligence, and
you can see that a bit more icon here. I feel like Eggman's can be up higher because of this reason.
today we'll be exploring just how much
Also, I might go up.
brain power they have. I'm Kyle
I
with
feel like Tails is also going to be up higher because,
Binge, and this is Sonic Prime Season 1 characters, dumb to brilliant.
I would say Sonic's more in the middle for this because, yes, his cockiness did get him, but he does seem to realise.
Real quick, we have a couple points to make before we begin.
First, let me guess, three things. No, first thing is, it's what plays an exquisite role in the story and got named. Second, and spoilers ahead.
Only focus on characters that played a prominent role in the series thus far, and we'll treat each alternate version of a character as their own character. And
Never mind.
lastly, spoilers ahead. Today we'll be starting with the dumbest character and working our way up to the most brilliant. This first category of characters are not too bright. At the very bottom of the intelligence scale is Mangy. This is an alternate version
Yeah, an alternate version of Tails. Yeah, he's not the brightest Tails in the universe.
of Tails that Sonic finds when he travels to the forest world. The big disadvantage this little guy has when compared to others is that he's still a bit more primitive. He acts more on animal-like instincts, and
Unlike Tails.
he is shown to not always be able to think for himself. He barely even knows how to say most basic words, and he even attacks Sonic right after he saved him. But we still like him as much as the next person. If we listed these characters based on how adorable they were, Mangy would easily take the top spot. For our next entry, we have a couple more forest friends for you, Gnarly and Hangry. Coming from the same place as Mangy,
Yeah, they're dumb.
these are the world's version of Knuckles and Big, respectively. They are certainly smarter than Mangy, but they're still not very bright. An example for Hangry comes when figures of speech are used about cats or beef. For Gnarly, we thought of the moment where the group hears a voice in the distance, and Gnarly automatically assumes that the trees are the ones talking.
Yeah, that's stupid.
It's the trees. They're talking to us.
Prim
Yeah, they're not.
makes it clear that they've talked about this before, and Gnarly still thinks this way. You would think, with how long he's lived in the trees, he'd figure that out by now. Add in their still
Yeah.
semi-primitive nature, and you've got some quirky goofballs. With the dim characters out of the way, we now move into the average folk. Avasti Buccaneers, we be sailing the seas to explore the legend of Knuckles the Dread
And the queen.
and most of his crew. The exception to this entry is Tails, who we will discuss later. The intelligence of this crew is relatively average. They don't exactly have any dumb moments, but there isn't much of anything groundbreaking either. They usually just wind up following the captain's orders, regardless of what they are. They didn't even seem to know how to fight using the cannons on their
Oh.
ship. Speaking of the captain though, Knuckles the Dread doesn't fare much better. You could argue that he is among the smarter of the group since he is
Then he gets greed. Then greed takes over.
their leader, but there is one glaring issue that takes him back down a few pegs. In his backstory, Knuckles the Dread is in pursuit of a specific treasure. As he got closer to it, he thought less and less with his brain. He did not consider the safety of the crew or the dangers he was
Where Decepticeye was there.
putting them in the ship in. After these events, you would think he would have learned from that, which appears to be the case at first. However, as he is convinced to go after it again, the same thing essentially happens, only the results were less severe this time around. Maybe a third time will be the charm if they return in a later season. Moving
Yeah, hopefully.
on to another forest duo, we have Prim and Thorn Rose. These two are on different sides of an argument through most of their story so far, but they think
would think they'll be in a dumb side. Why they don't decide to talk out?
Almost the exact same way on that argument. Prim and her group all were taking away more from the forest than they needed, not realizing how harmful it could be. Thornrose witnesses this and decides that the best thing for her to do is to knock them away with her hammer, forcing them to live in the treetops.
What is stupid?
After doing this, she wants to close the forest floor off from them with more trees, preventing them from ever coming back to do more harm.
This should keep the scavengers above the canopy.
What she failed to realize is that she was closing off the forest floor from sunlight, which would also do harm to the forest she loved. Overall,
Yeah.
these two are generally smart, especially compared to the others, but they
Yeah, compared to the others, definitely, but yeah.
could have been seen in a better light if they just sat down with each other to actually think and talk it out. Had they done just that, much of what happened to separate them could have been avoided. We can't have a Sonic show without the Blue Blur himself, so Sonic is next. When it comes to intelligence, Sonic
Yeah, he's not the smartest in the burnt.
isn't awful, but many have pointed out that he isn't as bright as other iterations of him that we've seen. Granted, other iterations think with their feet first as well, but this seems especially so with Prime Sonic. Two instances come right in the first episode. The first time around, Eggman fools Sonic into thinking he's in his mech, and Sonic goes to attack him. Tails warns him
With his cockiness.
not to do this at least twice, but Sonic does it anyway, leading to Eggman finding the Paradox Prism. Then, as Eggman goes to grab it, Sonic jumps to attacking yet again, despite the cries of his friends. These actions cause the prism to break, triggering the events of the rest of the show thus far. This eventually leads to more of Sonic's goof-ups. If he would just learn to stop and think, or even listen, for just a moment, then Sonic could not only be seen as smarter, but he also could have possibly prevented much of what happens in the show. Also, how did he not notice that Rouge
Yeah.
got into Tails' shop the exact same way he did moments before? Now we go from Sonic to most of his friends, that being Amy, Knuckles, and Rouge. They may not be the main
I understand why Tails is not there.
character, nor do they have a lot of screen time, but they certainly seem to at least act smarter than Sonic. For one, they aren't jumping into action like Sonic does. They're even seen planning what to do before fighting back again, just as they're saying that they should
But I think Sonic's much smarter than Eggman sometimes. And the Egg Cancel, because he's managed to beat Egg Cancel.
stick together. Sonic runs off on his own. Despite this, they stick to their plan, and it proves to be quite effective. It goes to show that thinking things through is typically the better move when possible. This alone puts them above Sonic, and hopefully they'll be able to demonstrate more smarts in the future. And that wraps up our average intelligence characters. This next category is made up of the smart. Starting off our top 5, we have the fearsome Rusty Rose. This is a mostly robotic version of
So it's more just grab plane following instructions.
Amy, and that could arguably be the biggest reason why she could be seen as a smart character. She is constantly able to use her installed tech to her advantage, and this can especially be seen in combat. As Renegade Nux and Rebel Rouge arrive in the Chaos Council's chamber to help free Sonic and Nine, Rusty joins in on the fight to stop them. Regardless of the ability of her opponent, she seems to know just what to do to overpower them. If Nux and Rouge attack together, she uses her extendable arms to push them back against the wall. When Sonic is her opponent, she pins him down so that he isn't able to move. We also want to bring up the moment where she encounters Black Rose, aka Pirate Amy. Despite having her quote-unquote evil programming back at this point, seeing another version of herself allowed her to overcome that programming for just a moment and to think for herself.
No need to waste time destroying a sinking ship.
If she can stay that way in future seasons, while also honing her skills with her robotic body, she could wind up being depicted as even smarter than she already is. We've almost made it to the top
And Sonic might be up higher smart for one reason. If he thinks first.
3, but the characters who just barely missed that mark are Renegade Nux and Rebel Rouge. These two are up against the Chaos Council,
I think they're a bit in the advert.
put them in a scenario similar to that found in Sonic Forces. Their home has been turned into a
Well, it's an advert in my opinion, but okay.
dystopian city, and they're trying to fight back against it. Through these events, Renegade and Rebel are put in a situation where they basically have to think smart in order to survive. They are also leaders of the whole rebellion, meaning they have to come up with strategies that will not only accomplish
That is kind of true.
their mission, but also keep the citizens safe from harm. They struggle for a while, but once Sonic and Nine come into the picture, they quickly adapt their strategies and start pushing much further forward with their plan. We have no doubt that if they can strategize and adapt to whatever is going on this well, they'll eventually take back their home. Taking the bronze medal of brains is none other than Shadow the Hedgehog. Shadow may not plan a lot of strategies or
Yeah.
work in groups like some of the previous entries, but he is still a really smart guy. The first we see of him
Maybe it's to do with his 50 years in Chambers.
when he is smashing through rocks, eventually stumbling upon a Chaos Emerald. Since he was going after rocks specifically, this tells us that he somehow knew one of the emeralds would be hiding in a rock without appearing to have a locator of any kind. He also is in on the same page with the other heroes in that he can't stand how Sonic rushes into situations without thinking. This implies to us that this iteration of Shadow also likes to analyze the current scenario before taking action. That being said, he is capable of thinking quickly when he needs to. After Sonic causes the first initial blast by destroying the robot, Shadow immediately knows that it was Sonic who caused it. Also, upon his
Maybe because this was the blueness.
arrival on top of the mountain where everybody else was confronting Eggman, he only sees the Paradox Prism, which he had presumably never seen before, for mere moments before Sonic strikes and breaks it. Upon the prism shattering, without knowing exactly what the prism was capable of, Shadow immediately knew that the best thing for him to do was to use Chaos Control to get out of the way. While he does end up getting stuck in between dimensions for most of Season 1, he could have easily suffered a worse fate had he not known what to do on the spot.
Like, became more than one. So,
This may
that'd be bad.
also at least partially explain why we don't see any other versions of Shadow in the story like we do with the other characters. But
And that explains this Sonic as well.
at least we can see a pirate version of Shadow in Sonic Dash. Finally, we get to our final category, the characters who outrank the rest when it comes to brains. These characters are the Brilliant. Our silver medal will be divided into 3, with each piece being given to a different version of Tails.
Oh, never mind.
Tails himself, Nine, and Sails. Regardless of which of these Tails we talk about here, each one can be seen as a technological genius. The original Tails is the one we think needs the least amount of explanation. He also gets some points of intelligence
Yeah.
during the first
Yeah, the smart sidekick.
battle with Eggman, while Sonic has Eggman's mech backed up to the edge of a cliff.
It's not just because of the show. If you're a Sonic fan, you're gonna know why.
Tails catches on to the fact that Eggman doesn't normally do that, as he would be too smart to put himself in that position. As a result, Tails figures out very quickly that Eggman is not actually inside that mech. For Nine, we thought of 2 things. For one, him adding 7 metal tails to himself to become like a 9-tailed fox is clever and useful in and of itself. These extra tails seem to work similarly to Spider-Man's iron spider suit arms in the MCU.
I referenced that as Dr. Octopus, but okay.
We also give him points for harnessing the Prism Shard.
Yeah, I was gonna bring this up. He planned to, make that dimension hop.
After Sonic disappears upon touching it, Nine takes it with him and quickly figures out how to use it to transport himself to another world entirely. Finally, Sails may be lumped in with the rest of the pirate crew for the most part, but there is one thing that makes him stand out: his own metal arm. We aren't entirely sure where he would have got the resources to pull this off, but we
True.
have to give the guy credit for his ingenuity and being able to work with what he had available to him. Where the silver medal of brilliance was divided into 3, our gold medal entry will double that. This is because it is being handed to the Chaos Council as well as
Wait, I was gonna say, the Chaos Council would be 3rd, but never mind.
Dr. Eggman. Like with the original Tails,
He'd be the 1st.
the original Eggman needs little to no explanation. He's able to mass produce robots and other machines almost effortlessly. He keeps trying to take over the world, and he likely would have at this point if Sonic and his friends didn't get in the way so much.
Yep.
with the Chaos Council. They're all different versions of Eggman, so you know they're going to act and think in a similar fashion to some degree. They each pilot machines of their own, with each one tailored to their own style. Also, unlike Eggman's mere attempts to control the world, these guys have successfully done so. Granted, it
Yes,
may help that there were 5 of them instead of just 1.
true.
They also are able to keep a few of the other characters at bay for a while. Towards the end of the season, they capture Nine and quickly utilize his tech's portal making
Yeah.
technology and use it to their advantage. This means that they might now be able to take over multiple worlds and control them simultaneously, especially if they keep advancing their technology and smarts. Even if they don't
Oh no.
succeed in that, just the fact that they found a way to do so makes them not only intelligent, but a massive threat, with all
Actually, they just used 9.
that in mind, we're sure that all these doctors are
9 actually solved it, but they decided to go in.
the most brilliant in the show thus far. But let us know in the comments section who you think the smartest and dumbest characters are in Sonic Prime. And also make sure to hit that
There's a few I disagree with. Sonic, I'd be like the... Yeah, like, no, I said Sonic would be in the middle, but, I know you had 4 columns, why be forced you those? Because he hasn't learnt his cockness off this. So, anyway, yeah. This was... Bye.